thing, to do a risk for future do a risk assessment and a vulnerability assessment to look at how vulnerable physically the borough is to sea level rise and coastal storm events. An implementation plan which talks about who does what and where some funding sources are, and then finally the draft and final plan which will be submitted to you after review of the series. So with all that, shall I run through those recommendations?
Sure.
I think so, yes.
And by the way, there are about 10 plans that were reviewed, including the master plan, the rec plan. There are some regional plans done. The Rutgers studio was included. The FEMA plan was included. So all of what I would call the relevant plans were included in this review. There were 300 recommendations from all those plans. That was whittled down based upon what actions had been already taken place. For instance, the borough adopted an open space tax that might not be the right title, but recreation tax. The borough got grant funding, or we think was going to get grant funding for streetscaping. That's one of the recommendations as well. So those items were taken out. Redundant items were taken out because several plans had the same recommendations in them. And then the remaining 130 were reviewed for under DCA guidelines. The DCA guidelines for this program are to focus on strategies, and I'm reading, focus on strategies and priorities leading to actions that are most urgently needed for public safety and economic recovery. So we went through the 130 and narrowed it down to about 40. That 40 was presented to the steering committee, and after vigorous discussion, I would say, there were 13 recommendations that are being brought forward to you. These 13 recommendations will be included in the plan, the report rather, as the borough's highest priorities. And emphasize the word highest because it doesn't mean that the other items that weren't selected are low priorities, but rather of the 40 recommendations, there isn't the time, the resources to do them all, so there has to be some prioritization. So these 13 are the highest. And the funding that DCA will be asked to provide following the submittal of this report to them after council approval is for plans and rewriting ordinances. At the moment, there's a $300,000 limit total, and there are limits for each type of activity. For instance, they will provide $50,000 for a master plan. They will provide $50,000 for a redevelopment plan. They will provide $20,000 for rewriting codes. So I say that now because when the final plan comes back to you, all 13 of these may not be recommended to go to DCA because there simply is not enough. The $300,000 would not cover all of it. With all of that preamble, first recommendation is the first recommended highest priority action is the direct stormwater piping from Route 36 directly out to the bay. And I'm happy to take questions now or after I'm done. How would you
Go through it and then we'll have that questions.
Okay, I'll go through. So the direct stormwater piping from Route 36 is the first highest priority. The second is to increase and enhance property maintenance and code compliance. The third is to mitigate the steep slope stability issues. That includes design for mitigation and ordinance revisions. A municipal facilities plan, which would include the community center and include the potential for, my phrasing is, co-locating facilities with other towns. Next recommendation is to obtain the NFIP compliance and apply for community rating service certification, which of course would help with all property owners with flood insurance. The sanitary system improvements regarding inflow and infiltration. The stormwater drainage and flood mitigation projects, plural, that includes pump station repairs, new catch basins and piping, outfall pipe improvements, and other items. The next highest priority is to undertake a study of the economic viability of continued planning as an economic development exercise. The next priority action would be to undertake redevelopment study or studies and prepare a plan or plans for areas determined to be in need of redevelopment. That might include the waterfront, downtown neighborhoods, and it would also include looking at some of the ideas that the Rutgers Spring 2014 studio had, including elevating buildings in the downtown, extending Shrewsbury Avenue, and the the possibility of converting single-family detached homes in the downtown area to attached homes. The next highest priority action would be to update the borough's hazard mitigation plan once the county's plan is completed. We expect a draft, I don't know when, they said June, obviously they come out in June, soon. The next three are all updating ordinances. One is to update the municipal codes, plans, and strategies from recommendations containing getting the resilience process. I didn't touch on that, but that basically looked at the codes, policies, procedures of the borough in terms of how resilient they are, how what communication there is between the borough and various residents and businesses over flooding hazards, and there's a variety of recommendations that are in that report. And that report will be included in the SRPR when it's due. The next recommendation would be to update ordinances specifically around the flood maps and some rewriting of the flood prevention ordinance, which we believe would help with resiliency. And the last recommended highest priority action is to update ordinances to streamline the development review process for physical improvements such as use changes, redevelopment expansions, and developments. I should add that there was a 14th, which was the Transit Village designation, that the steering committee asked to put on hold because there were some questions about the COA, Council on Affordable Housing, issues around that. And so I'm looking into that, and I don't have that answer. So thank you for your attention to that. Councilman Redmond, do you have anything to add being a member of this room?
It was very difficult to go through the 130 that we got 2 months ago and bring it down. I think that we know that we have to worry about Bay Avenue flooding. We also need to have some extra economic development downtown. And hopefully, with all these that we have, it should work. Now, we just have to wait and see what we can do and follow it in the next few months. So we report to you sometime in late September, October, how we're going to do with the redevelopment.
Well, one, I had a question just regarding okay, co-locating facilities. You mean sharing services or buildings?
Yes, it might be both.
Share a pool with Middletown.
Yes, and there isn't anything specific in that, but the study would look at is there potential for that. But it might be shared services, might be beyond what you're doing now. And this came up, I have to go with CRA, where you know I am also working, because Highlands facilities are impacted, Seabright's facilities are impacted, Oceanbrook facilities are impacted. So there may be something gained by co-locating, or there may not be, but that recommendation is looking to look at.
Thank you.
Number 8, I would take the study of economic viability and continue
Okay, you need, so planning is, this would look at the conditions of the planning industry, or I should say, it would look at the conditions in the bay in order for continued planning. The question is, what does the future look like? So, all right. So did you hear the question?
It's a reference to the number undertaking the study of economic viability and continued planning in the bay. I'm just going to look
Okay. Well, then maybe a short study.
I think I can shed just a little light on where that came from. It's been recommended, and there were studies done years ago about the plant beds and the industry itself. And it's one of those items that, through the Plan Declaration Commission, had come up frequently. And the question is how, and perhaps post-Sandy, what are the conditions out there? What, if anything, can we do to have a study done if someone will pay for to see how many plans are actually out there, and can we expand, or do we need to look at expansion? So it's bigger than just that, and I don't know if that explains it greatly, but that was felt that for an economic development activity, it may also fit one of the criteria that DCA is looking for.
So if I could, so maybe to read, because this was my writing based on in shorthand, so that may not be the best description. It'd be better to talk about an economic study of the future of the planning industry.
Yeah, I think you're right. The word in there,
Uh-huh.
continued planning, there's no way that planning won't be continued, but it's actually a study of the state of the plan beds in our area. So
It's called the stop survey.
stop survey. And I'd just like to add, being a member of the committee, that I believe these aren't in priority orders ranked 1 through. These were just how they came out alphabetized. So this was not put together in a priority order at this level. I just wanted to make that clear.
Now, are we gonna, when we do numbers or something, they kind of coincide with the long-term recovery, how they came in, those results? I don't know how much of it ties together, or doesn't.
If I could, I mean, there is some overlap. Off the top of my head, I think there were 12 or 14 priority actions in the plan. Does that sound about right? And then there's also recommendation for hazard mitigation plan and communications plan, which wasn't described the same, but it's also a recommendation. And probably, I would say, 2/3 of them are contained in these recommendations. But what the FEMA plan didn't do is what was done in this process, which is look at all the other plans that had been done, and the Rutgers work had not been done at that point. So the Rutgers work was also included.
Anybody at the table have anything else? Yes, thank you very much. Good. Okay, public sources, Claudette, policy review.
But I read up 12, so Tam, I'm still not clear. Do we not have money to sell houses that are condemned? Is that one next to me, top of the list, I've been told. And
Who's told you?
you told me to ask construction, and I was told by construction that that house is on the list. And I have a national magazine that wants to come to my house and film. Don't want to embarrass the town. That house needs to be fixed or a fence put around it.
Okay, let me answer your question, if I may. Does that mean the town doesn't have the money? The FEMA private property demo program that we applied for and the borough did put forth funds was denied, and we appealed it. We're still in the appeal process. We can't spend money while we're in the appeal process.
So is that house going to stay like that? With the pieces hanging down?
I'm not familiar with the house that you keep referring to. You asked me if we have the funds, and I'm trying to answer that question. The other program that DCA is offering, likewise, we mirrored that. I think DCA personally, I think DCA knew and FEMA knew that that other program was coming. So I think we're going to get the benefit of one or the other, but right now, no, we do not have those funds secured to do that work.
Okay, so I'm going to allow them to come film. It's going to be an embarrassment for the town. I just want to, I'm trying to cooperate. I have a lot of issues, as you all know, with insurance. They're coming to light nationally now. They're coming in to videotape. The TV station wants to come back and videotape. That I kept it out of the news the last time, but I can't keep doing that.
I'm not asking you to keep it out of the news. Maybe it brings light to FEMA to say, wait a minute, why aren't we moving on this quickly? So I could look at that in a different way as well. I don't want to say you're embarrassing us, because I don't think you're intentionally doing it.
No, I don't. Exactly.
Okay. Katie Reed, 7 Snow Harbor Ave.
Mine's similar to her concern about the abandoned properties, and I saw those articles come out in the Asbury Park Press about how to get rid of properties that have been abandoned in DCA counties. I have raccoons living next to me. I've lived with it for years. We continue to they pay taxes, so pretty much we don't care if they pay taxes. You know, I just think I've written emails, I've tried to address these, and I haven't.
But you were told because they pay taxes, you don't care?
Well, pretty much nobody has held it to a standard at all. I mean, the police have been there, there was a spotter there, there's documented issues about this place. And if it's in taxes, that's the message that I feel like I was inspired by his articles to see that there is funding, and Heinz was named right on there, on the writer, Zimmerman, Everett, Press, did a whole special. I contacted him, and you might want to.
That was me.
That was contact. And
That's the DCA funding that I'm referring to. It was announced, if you heard my report, it was announced by the media, okay? Because they contacted, but we haven't had formal notification that we're in the program. So I'm glad the media announces that, and I am very glad to see that out there. But the follow-up,
people are struggling with the same thing. So
Katie, I understand. I'm just saying the media announced it, but the state has not given us formal notification that we've been selected. And I was in contact with the gentleman again today. So I think, I want to knock on wood, we're in that program, but they haven't laid out the parameters, and there's
and
going
we're
to be a
all
lot.
ready to go. Once they do this green light, we have a whole list of priority
We've been-
properties.
They're going to make that determination. We can make a determination.
We have this.
We've already given them tons of information. But when they come in, they're going to really make the determination. If it's a pre-Sandy condition, they might not touch it. Okay? I understand that. But that's what we ran through with FEMA as well. We identified hundreds of properties with the FEMA process. When they
I just
came
want to
in,
actually congratulate them to say, great, like this is a step in the right direction.
we want the
I'm glad
money.
to see this on the list, and I think here's a solution if we work together. I think
Is that a question?
Thank you. Barbara, item 228, should we go ahead?
Okay, I have a lot of questions. Should I ask them all at once so I get my 2 minutes in, or how do you want to work it? Okay, HBP doing a subcommittee on substandard housing and code enforcement and abandoned properties. Why is that under a business entity, part of the Highlands business? You mentioned,
Property maintenance. I saw.
so it's businesses. You're focusing on businesses or private residents?
The neighborhood in general, because a lot of the houses lead to the establishments. So
Okay, why isn't
I would
someone?
say just address the questions to the chair.
Okay, well, I was trying.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions from sitting at this meeting. I'm confused why a business partnership would be looking into the abandonment and the condition of housing in the township. Also, this environmental commission, which I sit on, and 3 or 4 other members are sitting here with me, have been working with Exxon, and I'm very confused why we have to have another fee of $11,000 just because our own commissions did not communicate with our own engineer. The sheen came up at meetings. There were some logical reasons as to why that sheen was there. I don't know why, and I've been on since January. I don't know why all these samples had to be taken when all it would take would be to involve the actual commission in the township that is addressing those issues. And they had been working with Exxon. You would have gotten your answers without having to hire a third party to take samples.
Exxon said it was clean. It came back dirty.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say that. On the closed executive session, you have the OPM-A and meeting conduct. I feel like I'm dealing with George Carlin here. OPM-A and closed session, what's going on? Can you give a little more detail as to what was discussed regarding Open Public Meeting Act and conduct? I mean, why couldn't that be in a public session? It's kind of like an oxymoron. Can someone give me a little explanation as to what was discussed on that topic alone in your closed doors? Please.
Okay. We'll address your 3 questions.
Sure. Councilman Carr had asked to move the executive session later in the meeting. And as we further discussed it, I I said, the beginning of the meeting is open to the public anyway before we go in. So whether they leave from 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, almost is irrelevant. They're welcome to come to the beginning and hear the topics and the statutory reason for the exemption. And that's what was discussed, and what came out of it was the announcement that Ms. Cummins made that to inform everybody in case nobody didn't know that.
Okay, now that, and you had that listed on pre or post public portion. What about the very first line item, client communication, OPMA, and legal conduct?
That was a memo from the prosecutor's office about not using email collectively as a government body, not having all
Okay,
members of the
thank you.
body.
I just wanted a little more detail. And do I have one more thing?
Hold on, we're addressing these three, so you're.
Okay.
Why, HPP, and you said what I like how you're doing.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the grant. All we're doing is being more eyes to send an email. This is a process we did many years ago when we had a visual improvement committee. We lost a lot of volunteers to do it. It was the database that the council adopted many years ago. Basically, it's a spreadsheet, and you have different people go out in the neighborhood, make one list. Diane just submits it to the code, and property is just more eyes. It has nothing to do with abandoned housing and stuff. A lot of the properties are Bay Avenue, but also in the neighborhoods, because many of the eyesores are, like I said, when you're going to the establishments in some of the areas. So it's just really a way of helping, providing information so there's more eyes on the properties. That's all. Nothing to do with anything official.
And I think I have to have Tim address the environmental commission and the question of why this is happening. I don't think Tim might know the answer either.
Well, I will say, and I'm not going to name names, there was an environmental commissioner member present who questioned why we would even bring up the idea of contamination at that site. So that's as far as I'll go on that. And we can discuss that further, but that was a statement made, and I didn't agree with that.
Was that made this year?
That was made by a commission member.
This year, 2014?
I would have to say, when was the project started?
Last year.
It would have been 2013.
And so, one of those,
I'm not
he
pointing-
said, she said thing? Okay. I do have one other question, and you
While
may,
you're done, you can 2 minutes.
okay. Anybody else have any answers?
Carlos Apollo?
Thank you. To grab, yeah, I want to make sure that it's clear that I'm speaking as a resident and it has nothing to do with HPP. But I really want to urge this council to, I'm getting like, and I'm always nice, I never say anything because it's HPP, but I'm really tired of the negativity, posts, the blogs, people tell me this, go read that. I guess I'm always hearing about wasting taxpayers' money, but I feel what's wasting our taxpayers' money is a very select, I don't want to single anybody out, but the questions, and I'm kind of thinking Chris Ramsey did it on the head, it's wasting our money by our town officials, and I don't mean the town, but you guys are elected to answer questions, but our borough attorneys, clerk, administrators, whoever, all the officials, people that constantly have to spend time answering questions that are really, like to me, it's just there's a lot of waste going on where we really have a lot of important things to do, and I think our energy needs to really be put, to better use than really the same old over and over. Yes, we understand people read the budget, and I'm sorry, but I just feel that way. I think the constant bashing of people and families and trying to use the social media as answering questions. You talk about a poll, really. I mean, people expect you to sit there and answer questions online. It's really, it's not, productive. And I just think it could be a better use of everybody's time in town. Thank you, Carl.
Okay, Rita? Talking about it?
Well, I've been before you before. We are continuously, first of all, I'd like to get the clarification again about the rules ordinance as far as music. There have been complaints, other businesses, I'm at a point, we are at a point at Hannah, we are fed up. We are continuously harassed by one particular neighbor. We tried to work this out, it is now not working out at this point. As you are all aware, I have sent you a copy of an email that the band that I signed a check for and pay has also been harassed by this particular person. Okay? I sign the paychecks, I'm the one who will tell them where to put their speakers, where to stand. I've been threatened with Monmouth County. Monmouth County has already been to Havana and checked the decimeters and the noise and told me I was within the decimeters and were fine. Last week, I was threatened with Monmouth County. Well, that's okay because I called Monmouth County myself. I've been in touch with the prosecutor's office. I also filed a complaint, a report with the Highlands Police Department of harassment. On that point, I would like you to please clarify what I am entitled to as a business as far as noise. The only problem and the only complaint is our music. There's no other complaints, no beer bottles, no urinating, nothing else but the music. On that point, we're trying to operate a business. I mean, we're trying to get the business back in this town. We're trying to survive. We want to survive, but I don't want the harassment. So if someone could please tell us, I know I'm within my rights, but obviously other people don't believe that.
Well, right now, we're still at a status quo with the noise ordinance. That's again, it's not even executive, it's a lot that we're trying to tweak. I do think tonight we probably be a good business, obviously, we decided to have a roundtable discussion with the outside business owners. And two kinds of people and one of our to sit there and kind of make it so it's solid. Is to really go out and publish another noise ordinance that's ambiguous, doesn't do any of good. That's my feeling. I'd rather take this, the time between this meeting and the next meeting, sit with business owners, it'll be kept right in a Doug Park. And the chief, and Steve's working. And have that roundtable type of meeting and discussion where people can talk freely about what's going to hurt them, what's going to help them, and then we can kind of shore up that so the chief has something that he can enforce, the business owners have something that's not going to hurt them financially, because that's not what we intend for this game is, to take business away from you guys. We want to make sure we're just all better neighbors and come to some sort of agreement. It's going to be hard to neighborhood dispute, that's going to be difficult because it hasn't been just Councilman Carter that's tried to mediate it. It's been Councilwoman Ryan, it's been former Mayor O'Neill. There's a bit of a pattern. We've tried to mediate issues several times with resident and your establishment. So that I think we just need to actually be a little patient to make sure we come to that roundtable meeting so that we can get everybody's concerns from business owners back to the governing body so that we put something together that really the chief can work and hopefully makes a lot of sense.
They do have any ideas or things
Set it up as soon as possible.
Next week sometime.
Yeah.
Well,
But I'm
maybe the
at,
following week, I need to be there.
I'm at some
Here's the question, the following week we have to do it either Monday or Tuesday.
That's fine, I don't look back until the 25th, so we have to be after the 25th.
Okay.
understand this is everybody bad for both sides of the park. The residents and the business owners are going to have to work together and walk out and work with the resolution. So Chief Who, not put in a bad spot. It's got residents, as a police officer, and business owners, as going the direction. We're going to have to work together.
Right, but there also has to be a happy medium because you need to keep businesses in this
I
town.
agree with you.
And I understand why you can make the residents
I
happy.
have no problem stating it. I've driven by your place multiple times at night. I'm not the comment.
No, you gotta.
I want to work it out. But you do like the noise there, want to hear your place is loud. And sometimes it's not, it's perfect. So we have to work it out.
Right, but you have to also be for the business owners also, and not just for the residents.
Matter of fact, I take it.
Like I said, I just want you to be part of for the businesses also.
Okay. All right.
Lori Tibble.
I wanted to bring up just for a minute about Paradise Park, the homeowners and the residents at Paradise Park. What's happened at Paradise Park post Hurricane Sandy is really sad. The programs, the health programs, the Department of Community Affairs, the resettlement, the REM grants, were improperly denied to people in manufactured housing post Hurricane Sandy. So they've been unable to participate in the recovery process. Because of that, in litigation that was driven by Fair Share Housing and the Latino Action Group, there has been a settlement which involves the distribution of the next round of electronics. There is a $10 billion carve-out to correct the programs, to correct the leaving out of people in manufactured housing. That program, how that program is going to work, is currently being designed and worked with many advocacy groups and the Department of Community Affairs. That money is for 3 communities. One of them is Paradise Park. And I want to work with people in finance, help try to get these homeowners and residents back into homes and finance. And in finance, but I need to have somebody in finance who wants to work with me and talk to me about how we design these programs. And I'm asking you guys for help. Because these homeowners and residents want to come back. They want to come back.
About it, you know, just because.
Lori and I have,
Yeah, that's what I
had
a conversation with her, and I'll continue that. Lori, you know that affordable housing opened up the sidewalk grant today?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, okay. But so,
But this doesn't necessarily involve you.
okay, well, you know what, I'll make an appointment, you and I can talk. And
I'm sorry, what?
we'll make an appointment, you and I can talk, and we'll take it from there, okay?
But I want to somehow be involved in the recovery process, plan, or something.
Okay, well, that's-
Or let's some kind of acknowledgement that we're a part of the community and we need to recover as well. Now we've got some funds, do we need to come up with a program for this?
Well, I'll discuss it with you, I'm not saying that I'm gonna be that person, but I will certainly discuss it with you and figure out what we can do, okay?
Thank you.
All right,
Kim Scorpio, 315 Short Drive. Just this one time, I'd like an exception to the 2-minute limit. This topic was discussed in public portion. I did not have a chance to respond. Rita spoke about it. I did not have a chance to respond. I made some notes. All I asked is please, maybe like 3 to 5. And this is the only topic that
I can't make exceptions for her.
All right. First off, I object to you moving the meeting a week further because it is just one more week out that this issue is not resolved. On June 8th, Carla and Ralphie came over to talk to me. The county was actually going to come out that day, and in good faith, I canceled the appointment. I thought we were going to work this out. Carla and Ralphie came over. He was very nice. He brought me a Cuban sandwich, which was awesome. And he said to me, anytime there's a problem, come talk to me. If the music's too loud, come talk to me. That's what I've been doing. I've been going and talking to him. Now all of a sudden, what he asked me to do is harassment, and I take objection to that. The following week, there was a one-man band. I asked Ralphie to have the speakers redirected. He said fine, nothing really happened. Saturday, on July 4th, well after 10 p.m., we came home, asked Rita to turn the music down. It helped. Sunday, when the band was there, I asked if she could have them set up in the future to point towards Bay Avenue or to redirect the speakers, and I was met with no. I'm trying here. I want Havana to be successful. I don't want them to be closed. I never asked them not to have music. I never asked them to be shut down. I want them to do what they do. All I am asking is for the volume to be turned down. I didn't think that was harassment. I am the only one who has taken the effort to call the police and remedy the situation. I have friends on Ocean Street Avenue, place, off of Bay Avenue, and a friend on Barbary who has said, occasionally, depending on how the wind blows, they can hear Havana's music blocks away. So it's not just me, it's other people hearing it, they choose not to call the police. I called the police, that was a problem. I talked to them, that's a problem. Apparently, me having my good hearing, I guess, is a problem. Summertime, I just want to say for the record, I have an objection that you let Carla bitch and moan about me during public portion. I did not have a chance to respond, and now you're cutting me short.
Thank you.
That's
Objection.
bullshit.
Your objection is noted.
So I think, first of all, I think it's commendable that you're going to put together a committee to talk about noise. I find it unsettling that, Becky, your point is that we're going to do what's best for businesses and we don't want to shut them down and we need to figure out what's best for everybody. There's a state noise ordinance that you cannot create flexibility on. The state ordinance is the minimum, and then you can make it more limiting than that, but you can't make it less than that. So I think you need to understand that going into the committee, that you don't have the flexibility to let businesses and islands violate the state noise ordinance. And if you do, you're in violation of state law, and Monmouth County will keep coming out and will keep dictating. So no matter what our ordinance says, if you make it less onerous than the state law, you're in violation of state law. And I think someone from the community should be on this committee, because you're always focused on what's best for businesses, and I appreciate that, but we almost never get representation on what's best for the residents. And this is continuing pain. I understand where Carla's coming from. There needs to be a balance. We've been trying multiple years to get balance, and it's not happening. The fact that you're pushing it further into the summer means we have an entire summer of noise violation for all residents and all over Halifax, which is not fair. Secondly, I'd like to commend Joe, the chief, for putting the police officer on the street around Shrewsbury and Miller. It made a big difference, but I'd like to understand if that's something that happens every weekend, or whether that was a one-off. And the last time I was at the meeting, there was a conversation that steps were going to be taken to address the illegal bar under the window seat. It's still operating, so I'd like to know what the status is of those activities.
First off, I'm here to make we're bringing it together with residents and businesses. Dr. Carter is also uncomfortable with some of the things that were in the noise ordinance. That's why we are doing this roundtable discussion. Because quite frankly, some of the things were way over and above the state law ordinance, the state ordinances. Okay, way over and above. I don't think anybody's looking to do below the state ordinance.
Is that so the chief, Stephen and me, and all together, they had something to solve there. The ordinance that we're proposing is going to give the empowerment to the police officers to shut them down so that when they go to court, it's not repetitive. He's not going to shut them down at night, so he's going to be able to hold them there. And it's going to be stronger.
Does he want to write tickets? Because that's what the ordinance requires.
That's what we want to be right. So when he goes in front of the judge, there's no gray area. Okay, and we got to give that to the chief because that's what he's asking.
And why can't you shut them down? Because the Monmouth County person can shut them down if they're in violation of the law.
Monmouth County wants to come out and meet them and shut them down. Let them. I have no problem with that.
Why wouldn't we instruct our police officers to do the same?
Because it's a matter of having the department equated with the training and Steve Swinsky, I say this Swinsky, he said just the meter thing, you have to be formally trained, you have to continuous education on it, and it's a high risk for you to go into a courtroom with that. So I'm proposing that we have businesses understand that this ordinance is not going to have a loophole and evade it, and you have no problems. Protect the residents as well as the businesses. It's simple as that. We want to write it right, so we're not writing something that we thrown out of the court. We want it to have merit. If the business is doing it right, there's no problem. If the business is doing it wrong, then they're going to have to feel the consequences to protect the community. We have to write it right. That's why I ask for it to be taken more in the record. And unfortunately, it's going to be done. You know government, that's how it works.
And then, I don't know if you want to just touch on the red bar issue.
The construction office has sent out notices to, I believe it was 14 businesses, not just particularly, we weren't singling out any businesses. They've been asked to comply within the time frame to provide material back to the construction office that can be reviewed, including site plan, occupancy, anything that they have on file. And that's what the process is right now. Once that process is in play, they have 30 days to respond because they had to be given the time frame. And the construction office is going to set up meetings with fire code official, construction official, potentially zoning, and they're going to be visiting with each and every establishment that got those types of letters. So we are working on it. It's not going to happen overnight.
Well, at the end of the 30 days, they have notice to shut down the non-compliant.
If
Why are you allowing these non-compliant, illegal
Okay, I think the mayor clearly stated the last meeting we weren't going to be shutting down businesses this summer if we could work with the businesses, and that was on the record. To say what happens after 30 days, they do get fines if they don't do what's required at that point.
Is it shutting down a business to close down something that's illegal? That has never been in place until the summer?
I'm just telling you what was stated publicly at the last meeting.